Okay, picture this. Alicia Berenson, she's a really well-known painter, seems to have this, perfect life. Married to Gabriel, who's this big-name fashion photographer, nice house, the works.
Right.
Then, just one evening, the absolute unthinkable happens. Gabriel's murdered, brutally, shot multiple times, right there in their living room.
Oh, wow.
And Alicia, they find her at the scene, her fingerprints all over the gun. She even tried to kill herself, slashed her wrists.
She survived, though.
She survived, but here's the thing, the part that just gripped everyone. After the crime, Alicia just stops talking, completely silent, never says another word. So the huge questions are, why? Why did she do it? And maybe even more strangely, why the silence?
It's a really chilling mystery, isn't it? The kind that just gets under your skin and you can't shake it.
Exactly.
So today we're really going to dive into Alex Michaelides' book, The Silent Patient. It's a fantastic novel that tries to unravel this whole thing. It goes deep into like the human mind, trauma, lies, deception. It really looks at what makes us tick. Or, well, in Alicia's case, what makes someone just shut down, outwardly at least.
Totally. And our goal here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the most important bits, the really surprising facts from The Silent Patient for you, our listener. Sort of a shortcut, so you feel like you really get the heart of the story without getting buried in all the details.
Get a cut through the noise.
And, a bit like our Mindful Moments YouTube channel, what we're doing here is aiming for that kind of analysis that makes you think, maybe reflect a little bit, rational thought. That's the idea.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. This silent artist, this terrible crime.
Okay, so Alicia Berenson, she was 33 when it all happened, a successful painter in her own right, and Gabriel, her husband. Well, he had this very distinctive style. The book calls it kind of slick and shallow, shooting those very thin, often semi-naked models.
Right, very fashion world.
Very fashion world. He definitely made a name for himself. Their life looked pretty glamorous from the outside. Artistic, successful.
But that crime scene, it was just horrific. And it really set the stage for how people saw her immediately. Like you said, found alone, Gabriel dead, her prints on the gun, the attempted suicide. And then when the police tried to question her, just nothing. Complete silence. Her lips might move a tiny bit, apparently, but 0 words.
Wow.
That silence just instantly became her whole identity in the media frenzy.
And of course, that silence, plus the brutal facts we did know, and the total lack of any explanation from her, it just let the tabloids have a field day.
Oh, yeah.
They immediately painted her as this, femme fatale or Black Widow, called her a monster. This was even before she was actually found guilty.
It really shows how quick we are to judge, right? When something doesn't make sense, we just create a story that fits even if we don't have the facts. Perception versus reality, big time.
Totally. It's a really sharp commentary on that.
What's interesting, too, is that before all this, she apparently used the diary. Like a lot. She called it a release, almost like therapy for her, a private place to let things out. But after the arrest, when she was under house arrest waiting for the trial, she turned to something else entirely. Painting. Obsessively. Like barely eating or sleeping, just painting.
And that led to one specific piece.
Yes, exactly. One single, really mysterious artwork. It's called Alcestis.
Alcestis. That's so central to the whole book. It really captures the main themes. Her gallery manager, Jean-Felix, he even described it as a refusal to comment about silence.
Oh.
Yeah. So the painting itself, it shows this figure from mythology, Alcestis, who actually chose silence in her own story. So the painting became Alicia's only way of speaking, really. Her nonverbal statement from inside this, self-made prison of silence.
It really highlights how trauma can push expression into these really unexpected symbolic forms.
The filmmaker's only voice.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the man who becomes obsessed with breaking that silence, Theo Faber.
Right, the psychotherapist.
Yeah. And the book is brutally honest about him from the start. He basically admits he got into the field because he was, and I'm quoting here, profoundly fed up.
Yeah, it doesn't pull any punches there.
No. And that honesty immediately tells you, okay, this narrator, he's carrying some serious baggage himself.
For sure. His childhood sounds incredibly rough. Described as edgy, afraid, anxious. His father apparently had an untreated personality disorder.
What does that mean exactly in this context?
Well, a personality disorder generally means someone has these really ingrained, unhealthy ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving that cause a lot of problems. In his dad's case, it sounds like it came out as extreme emotional instability, maybe aggression. The book mentions hysteria and physical violence.
Jeez, that's a heavy start. Definitely leaves scars.
Big time. and it shaped him profoundly. We find out he actually attempted suicide as a teenager, an overdose. It caused searing, gut-wrenching pain, but he survived.
Wow.
And his therapist back then, a woman named Ruth, she helped him see that his anxiety, and he also had a marijuana addiction for a while, stemmed from this deep need for containment, for boundaries, stability, things he absolutely didn't get growing up.
So that history makes him, well, it gives him empathy maybe, but also makes him really vulnerable himself.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
So Theo lands a job at the Grove. It's this rather rundown psychiatric unit where Alicia's been institutionalized after her conviction. And apparently from day one, he's laser-focused. He wants Alicia as his patient, even though people like Professor Diomedes, his superior, warn him off. They say she's unreachable, maybe borderline.
But he sees her as the ultimate challenge.
Right. He thinks if he can cure her, if he can make her talk, he'll prove something. Not just as a therapist, but maybe heal something broken in himself, too. It feels like projection, doesn't it? Trying to fix someone else to fix yourself.
Oh, absolutely. His own history is definitely fueling this obsession. It's not just about helping a patient. It's all tangled up with his own trauma, this kind of desperate need to master psychological pain. It's like if he could conquer her silence, maybe he could conquer his own inner chaos.
It immediately sets up this really uneasy dynamic, where the healer might actually be more damaged than the person he's trying to heal.
Precisely. Danger zone.
So Theo starts his mission, uncover the truth behind the silence. And this is where things get really interesting because he actually gets his hands on Alicia's diary.
Ah, the diary. That's huge.
Huge. He finds it in her old art studio. It becomes his entry point, his way into her world before the murder. It gives us this whole parallel story.
And what a story it is. Through those entries, we get Alicia's side of things leading up to the event. And it's full of fear. Escalating fear.
Yeah.
She writes about feeling watched, seeing a man outside her house, taking photos. She becomes increasingly paranoid, feeling persecuted, vulnerable. It paints a picture of someone really starting to unravel.
But here's a twist in that Gabriel, her husband, his reaction when she tells him about this man, this fear, he's dismissive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He suggests she's imagining it, or maybe she should see a doctor. And this just devastates Alicia. She feels like he doesn't believe her, which, is such a deep betrayal when it's the person you love most.
Wow. That really isolates her, doesn't it? It makes you question their whole relationship. The trust is just gone. What happens when your closest person basically says your reality isn't real?
Exactly. And it gets worse. Gabriel's brother, Max Berenson, he also tells Alicia, be careful. Don't trust people around you. Just add into this general vibe of unease.
Everyone's whispering warnings.
Pretty much. And then Jean-Felix, the gallery manager, he visits her. He shows her the Alcestis painting, the one about silence, and he warns her about trusting people too. It feels like danger is closing in from all sides.
A real sense of impending doom.
But then, right in the middle of all this fear and suspicion, Gabriel drops a bombshell. He tells Alicia he wants them to have a baby.
Oh, after being reluctant before.
Yeah, apparently he hadn't wanted kids previously. Alicia writes in her diary that she was deeply moved, tears in her eyes kind of moved.
Huh. That throws a wrench in things.
It does. It creates this really stark contrast. All this darkness creeping in and then the sudden ray of hope. It shows their relationship was maybe more complicated than just bad. There were layers.
Definitely adds complexity.
Okay.
So Theo is reading all this in the diary, getting deeper into Alicia's world.
And then things start getting weirdly parallel in his own life. It's like the psychological mirror thing starts happening and it makes you question him.
Oh.
He finds out his own wife, Kathy, is having an affair. He finds emails, and suddenly, he's the one spiraling. Mistrust, paranoia. He even relapses, starts smoking marijuana again, which was his old coping mechanism.
Wow, so he's essentially becoming what he's reading about in Alicia's diary.
Yeah.
Consumed by suspicion.
Exactly. And his paranoia doesn't just stay internal. He starts stalking Kathy's lover. It gets physical. There's this violent confrontation out in the woods somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah. And during that fight, he hears something really specific. A muffled giggle. And he recognizes it. It's Kathy's.
Oh, man. That's chilling. That links his actions directly back to his own unraveling, right? His rage, his delusion. He's not just a therapist anymore.
Not at all. He's deep in his own dark drama now.
And there's more, isn't there? Something about a colleague.
Yes. On top of all that, Theo discovers that Christian, another therapist at the Grove, had actually been treating Alicia unofficially before she was even admitted, taking cash payments.
Shady.
Yeah.
Very shady.
Totally. It immediately sets off alarm bells for Theo. It looks unethical, maybe hiding something. And, spoiler alert, it gives Theo someone convenient to point the finger at later.
Okay. Setting up a scapegoat?
Pretty much. So all this leads up to this incredibly intense moment in therapy. Theo decides to share some of his own trauma with Alicia.
Risky move.
Very. He tells her about his father, the emotional abuse, calling it tantamount to psychic murder. He says, he killed you. He's trying to connect on that deep level of pain.
And does it work?
It works, Alicia. She finally speaks. After all that time, the silence breaks. It's this huge breakthrough. Seems like it's sparked by Theo sharing his own vulnerability.
Wow. So what did she say happened that night?
Well, her story is terrifying. It completely flips the narrative. She says a man broke into the house, tied her up, waited for Gabriel to get home, and then shot him.
A home invasion.
Exactly. And she claims the intruder forced her to be silent, threatened to kill Gabriel if she made a sound. It's this harrowing account that seems to completely clear her name.
Okay, so the book really plays with you there. Makes you think, that's what happened.
Oh, totally. Masterful manipulation. But then comes the real twist, the one that just knocks the wind out of you. It shows you just how unreliable our narrator has been.
Really out on me.
The man Alicia described, the intruder.
Yeah.
It was Theo.
What? No.
Yes, Theo, our narrator. He confesses it all later. He killed Gabriel. He admits he followed Kathy and Gabriel from a pub, followed Gabriel home, and ambushed him.
Oh, my God. That changes everything. Every interaction you read.
Everything. Your whole understanding just shatters.
So why? What was his motive? It had to be connected to Kathy's affair.
Absolutely. Gabriel was Kathy's lover. Theo felt completely betrayed. He says he thought he was, wait for it, rescuing Kathy by getting rid of Gabriel.
Rescuing her.
Rescuing her.
By murdering her lover. That's
What?
Incredibly twisted.
It gets darker. He didn't just kill Gabriel. He deliberately framed Alicia. Why? To recreate a trauma from his own childhood. He calls it a landmine he stepped on again. He saw it as poetic justice.
Poetic justice?
Wow. Because Alicia also had childhood trauma involving violence and silence. He saw her as a parallel to himself, the perfect person to frame, to sort of reenact his own past pain onto her and maybe achieve this perverse sense of control or containment he always craved.
That's horrifying. It's such a chilling look at how deep psychological damage can just explode into violence and manipulation.
And the cover-up is just as calculated. After Alicia tells her false story, Theo realizes she could still potentially expose him later, so he injects her with a massive dose of morphine, tries to silence her for good.
Making her truly silent this time.
Exactly. And then he frames Christian, the colleague who treated her unofficially for the attempted murder. Says Christian was trying to shut her up before she exposed his shady dealings.
Wow. Using Christian's past actions against him.
Yep. He saw Christian as deserving punishment anyway for failing Alicia before. It's just layers upon layers of manipulation to protect himself. A total narcissistic delusion.
So Theo thinks he's gotten away with it all.
Completely. He's reached this peak of delusion. He actually believes he's healed himself and Alicia. He thinks he's secured Professor Diomedes' job, that he's the perfect candidate. He even moves back into his childhood home.
Oh, wow. Symbolism much.
Right. He genuinely believes he's exorcised his past demons, finally found that containment. It's terrifying, really. A killer who thinks he's the hero, who's found peace through murder and deception.
The truth has to come out, right? It always does in these stories.
It does. Just when Theo feels completely secure, Inspector Allen shows up at his house. And he's holding Alicia's diary, the final entry.
What does it say?
It's something she wrote from her hospital bed after Theo injected her. She couldn't speak, obviously, but she managed to write one critical detail. She described a pinprick along the vein, a tiny hole left by a hypodermic needle.
Ah, the proof.
The proof. It shows she was injected. She didn't just overdose on pills, as Theo claimed when he framed Christian. That tiny detail unravels his entire lie.
So that's Alicia's final testimony. Silent, but devastatingly clear.
Exactly. Despite everything Theo did to silence her, she found a way to leave that one undeniable clue. It exposes him completely. It's kind of amazing, really, the power of one small detail and her will to get the truth out, even without words.
It really hammers home that idea, doesn't it? That truth, no matter how buried, can find a way to the surface.
What a ride. It's such an intense look at the mind, isn't it? How we create, how we destroy. The Silent Patient really makes you think about truth, how we see things, trauma, and just how deceptive appearances can be, especially with an unreliable narrator pulling the strings.
It definitely leaves you with questions. Like for you listening, what does this whole exploration, the suffering, the lies, the masks reveal about the secrets we keep, not just from other people, but maybe even from ourselves? That's the stuff that really lingers.
Absolutely. It stays with you.
So we really hope you found this interesting.
Yeah, and as always, we'd love for you to engage more with us. You can check out our Mindful Moments YouTube channel and take a look at our other podcasts, too.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the silent patient, please think about subscribing so you don't miss our future explorations of fascinating books.
Definitely. Maybe share this with a friend who's into psychological thrillers. And if you haven't read it yet, consider grabbing The Silent Patient. Maybe use the link in our show description to really experience the whole story yourself.
It's worth the read.
For sure. And above all, just keep thinking critically about the stories you come across and the truths or lies they might be hiding.
Well said. Until next time.
See you then.